So what is naturopathic medicine? Naturopathic medicine is a primary healthcare system founded on the honored universal principle that nature is the ultimate healer. Its roots go back beyond the time of Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine. Today, it is recognized as a distinguished licensed medical profession in the United States and throughout Europe. The law of naturopathic medicine dictates that our bodies have the innate ability to maintain and restore optimum health, no matter what the current health status may be. A physician's true role is to support the process by using modalities of treatment that work in harmony with the body's own natural healing power. Naturopathic physicians use non-invasive treatments which minimize the risk of side effects and potentiate the body's healing mechanisms. Disease develops when a complex set of interactions among the physical, nutritional, psychological, environmental, emotional, and other lifestyle factors are out of balance. All symptoms of illness are messages from the body indicating that this delicate balance within this system has been disrupted. We take all of these factors into account, then identify and remove any obstacles that block or prevent optimum health. We will teach you how to first listen to your body and understand what your body's messages are. Then focus the treatment in response to them. The treatment may entail altering harmful lifestyle choices, education on proper nutrition and diet, strengthening digestion and absorption, immune function, elimination, exercise, and specific modalities of treatment unique to your condition. My name is Dr. Jason Uchida. I have been in private practice practicing naturopathic medicine in Hawaii for 20 years. I will be your host for this program. Please join me as we discover the extraordinary powers that naturopathic medicine has to offer. Let's listen to today's Island Wellness story. Von Hippel-Lindau disease is an autosomal dominant genetic defect located at chromosome 325 and 326. This basically means that the tumor suppressor gene in that person's body has been turned off, so that person's immune system no longer can fight against cancer cells that are growing throughout their body. Cancer growth sites in these individuals are typically in the brain, spinal cord, kidneys, liver, and pancreas, to name the most common sites. Genetic disorders like von Hippel-Lindau disease is typically untreatable because there's nothing that we can do about genetic defects right now, especially if the defect is to the tumor suppressor gene like it is with von Hippel-Lindau disease. The prognosis for individuals with von Hippel-Lindau disease is quite dire. Typical lifespan for people who have von Hippel-Lindau disease is age 49. Typical conventional medicine treatment for von Hippel-Lindau individuals is symptomatic. Basically, that means that as the tumors present itself, they are removed by surgery. And in some cases, if the tumors keep occurring in the kidneys, eventually there will be no more kidneys to remove. So these individuals are either put on dialysis machine or candidates for kidney transplant surgery, or unfortunately they would pass away. The incidence of individuals who have von Hippel-Lindau disease is 1 in every 40,000. The diagnosis for von Hippel-Lindau disease is made by genetic pathology. The tumors typically are monitored by CAT scan or MRIs, monitoring their growth and at that point removing them before they start causing more problems. Autosomal dominant genetic disease means that one parent has the defective gene and passes it on to the child. This also means that each child has a 50% chance of inheriting the defective gene and the disease. Both sexes are typically affected equally. Spontaneous cases of von Hippel-Lindau disease occurs in about 20% of these cases. This occurs mainly because of mutations being formed in these individuals' bodies. Von Hippel-Lindau disease is caused by a defect in the tumor suppressor gene, the immune system has no defense against tumors. Therefore, tumor growth is usually continuous and widespread. It is not uncommon for individuals with von Hippel-Lindau disease to have 2 or 3 surgeries a year for several years in a row. So you've learned a little bit about von Hippel-Lindau disease. Let's talk to my patient Jason and find out his story of what he did and is doing now to beat von Hippel-Lindau disease. Jason,
Hey.
Welcome to Island Wellness.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everybody.
So Jason, when were you diagnosed with von Hippel-Lindau disease?
Oh, that was like about Halloween 2005.
How did the diagnosis come about? Because obviously von Hippel-Lindau disease is a genetic disorder. It's not something that you're typically going to be going to the doctor for a diagnosis.
Oh, no. It was purely by the grace of God and chance. It was, I had been remodeling my house at about that time, end of 2005, and I was doing a lot of work after work, so in the evening, you know, I want to get these things done. It's starting to really getting to be a chore. So one night I was really pushing myself, and I strained my abdominal muscles, and I went to the doctor for that. And he told me, well, it looks like it's an abdominal tear, and take a couple of some painkillers and muscle relaxants, and see him in a week. And when I was going out the door, that was when he said, oh, by the way, why don't you just go to the hospital there, get a abdominal ultrasound, let's take a look at that tear. And so the next day I went and went for the ultrasound, not thinking it would be anything. I probably just ripped a muscle there or something. And while I was there, the technician started saying things like, oh, does this hurt? And I said, no. And then when she got to the other side, she goes, does this hurt? I go, no, it doesn't. And that was the end of the test. And then, lo and behold, within hours after that test, my doctor was calling me up. And then my roller coaster ride began.
At that time?
Yeah.
So obviously you didn't know what von Hippel-Lindau disease was. I guess they found some tumors in your abdomen, and you have to go through the process of diagnosing what was causing these tumors. So it being a genetic disorder, the geneticists had to come in and come up with a diagnosis. But once you finally fully realized what von Hippel-Lindau disease was, what were your feelings?
Oh, that was a very devastating thing to hear, someone telling you that. First of all, just when my doctor called me, we immediately went to, you have cancer. So that was before even the diagnosis of von Hippel-Lindau. So right off the bat, I'm dealing with, you have cancer, and you have cancer in both kidneys. Kind of thing. So that was like, okay, you know, maybe cancer in one kidney, they can remove the kidney or something. But like now I'm faced with, you know, cancer in both kidneys, and it's like the doom and gloom thing just went a little darker, you know, and I have to deal with this thing like it's in my face. It's not something I can like try and sleep it off, or you know, it was a thought that kept anyway. I think anybody who has any kind of cancer will understand that feeling of despair.
Obviously, right? That's everyone's worst nightmare, being diagnosed with cancer. So you had the surgery in 2005, I guess, on your kidneys.
Right.
And then after that, I guess the geneticists got involved, and they diagnosed the von Hippel-Lindau disease.
At that point, as I was going through the testing, that's when the genetics people started to become involved, and it was something we had to do a process of elimination too. So there's a little bit of tests going on prior to the final, you have von Hippel-Lindau.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a few other things that cropped up, and we were not sure what it was. And so I am here listening to all of this
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with my upcoming surgeries. How they had planned it was, since it was both kidneys, rather than doing like a classical surgery, like in the back near your kidneys back here,
Mm-hmm.
since I had both, they went through my abdomen like this, or they call it a chevron cut. It's like chevron, like that thing. And
Yeah,
they just kind of follow the bottom of your
logo.
rib. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and, they open you up, and you're like that frog in biology class. I can imagine. It must have been a sight. I mean, I don't want to go there, but
right. It was serious.
yeah,
it was serious.
pretty bad. It was going to be major surgeries several times.
Mm-hmm.
And so right off the bat, it was trying to find a surgeon, first of all, that would be willing to do this. And then as I went through several urologists, all of which ended up working on me as a team, what happened was they would explain to me that making a cut like that and doing both kidneys at once was very, very risky, because after the surgeries, if my kidneys don't restart, then that's going to be the end of that, and I'll be a dialysis patient. So
I see.
So I didn't want that, and all the while, the genetics people had their ball rolling on what was going on, and after my first surgery, they had, I guess, what they take out, and they were doing pathology on that, and they got it down to one of the genes. I can't even remember.
Chromosome P25, 26.
Something like that. That was really indicative of the von Hippel-Lindau thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we started looking at the VHL, and prior to that, I'm kind of getting along now anyway. I had like eye problems and stuff, so I had been seeing an an ophthalmologist, and I told him about the von Hippel-Lindau diagnosis, and he says that's really odd, because generally he sees it manifest in the eyes first.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one that's telling the doctors that check this patient out for von Hippel-Lindau. So he was surprised that this one went kind of reversed, where I was, I had it, I got the surgeries, and the diagnosis was starting to come about, and then now they're telling you, go to the ophthalmologist, and fortunately he didn't see anything in there, which makes it a little bit more confusing, but for me it was good. It meant that my eyes will probably last me.
And the reason why Jason mentions the eyes is because von Hippel-Lindau, the main problem with it is that the gene that fights tumors have been turned off. So tumors usually start popping up everywhere, including the eyes. So typically you'll have retinal tumors as well as kidney tumors, brain tumors, spinal cord tumors.
Right.
Once you got the diagnosis, though, of von Hippel-Lindau disease, I mean, and then you start to realize that this is not just cancer anymore, right? This is like 5 times worse, or maybe even 20 times worse than your regular cancer. You're almost like given a death sentence.
Absolutely.
Basically, you're on death row. Some people would call you dead man walking, right, because of this diagnosis. How did you feel? What were your feelings at that point?
Well, it was pretty bad. I mean, having that cancer thing and already going through one surgery, that was pretty awful. And then finally getting this VHL diagnosis. And then, of course, I went on the web and I started looking at that, and don't do that. That's really depressing. Any kind of disease, if you think you have it, don't go look it up on the web, because all of a sudden you'll see, like, you can look at it for 24 hours and you think it's all over your whole body and everything. And but this one, I read enough to know that it was, very serious. It was going to be recurrent, and it was very, very grim. So it was very hard to sleep at night, and I wasn't working at that point, but just to keep myself busy during the day, just moving around doing things, that was okay. But like at night, especially, just like it was very difficult to go to sleep.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You're just constantly thinking about your diagnosis,
right,
and the outcome of your life in the next few years, much less 10 or 20 years down the road, right? What was the diagnosis that your surgeon gave you? What was the prognosis that your surgeon gave you when he diagnosed you with von Hippel-Lindau disease?
I had several people looking at me, and I had my regular doctor. He explained von Hippel-Lindau to me, and then my surgeon, as a urologist, he explained what von Hippel-Lindau was, and it was looking like I have a bunch of cysts that were in my kidneys that a lot of people have cysts in their kidneys, and they'll go to their graves with it, never knowing they got it, and it's generally benign, and it's not that bad of a thing. But what for me was the cyst that I have in my kidneys. They were testing positive for cancer. So even though he did get the cancer out, the other cysts that were remaining were testing positive for cancer. So this was something that, he couldn't tell me how many surgeries I was going to be going through and how many times. And, if after, you start to get this what if thing going, like, oh God, they're going to keep cutting until, like, I have no kidneys, and,
right.
Maybe that might be 10 or 12 times that they go inside me, And, I'm wondering if I'm going to be up to going through all of that,
Yeah.
And then, and what if something else manifests in, like, my eyes or my spine or, elsewhere. And it was a spiral, that...
I would imagine.
Yeah, I just could not get out of. And no matter how I tried to be positive thinking about something or put it out of my mind, it would always come back, especially right around bedtime, like that.
Yeah, the worst time.
Yeah.
I can imagine, right? Because if somebody is diagnosed with cancer and they have the surgery and chemotherapy and then they're done, right? But with von Hippel-Lindau disease, because of the genetic defect and the immune system being turned off, or the tumor suppressor gene being turned off, these tumors keep coming and coming and coming. And that's why you were saying that all you look forward to is another surgery. And it's not uncommon that people with von Hippel-Lindau disease have 2 or 3 surgeries a year for several years in a row.
Right.
How do you deal with von Hippel-Lindau disease mentally and emotionally on a daily basis, knowing that you have this gene in you and it's not going to go away?
Well, I started going to church. That was one thing.
That's not uncommon, right?
Yeah. I kind of was not a church guy anyway, and I said, well, and my wife, that was her spiritual support, so she started getting me to go, and that was actually a very good thing, as I look back on this whole my whole little roller coaster ride there.
Yeah.
It was and it has now become an integral part of my life.
Very good.
So,
yeah. I can imagine they provide you a lot of support.
Yeah.
There's a lot of prayers for you, right?
Totally.
And at least you can turn to God during this time of great stress.
It was incredible, actually, how my path led me to God, So.
Jason, you first saw me in April of 2007.
Okay.
How many surgeries did you have before you came in to see me? Do you recall that?
Yeah. I had gone through 2 surgeries, and we had gone through a couple of MRIs, and we saw that the cancer was coming back.
Mm.
So I was going to go through another round of surgeries. So this was all happening within the span of a little over a year.
Mm.
So I was looking at 2 more of these big chevron cut surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
My doctor had to keep cutting through all this scar tissue. It was getting much more difficult each time he had to do it.
Okay.
Right. And that's when my wife was suggesting to me that I see you. She had heard from a friend of a friend. And I'd like to make a little note here. You know, it's kind of interesting, like when you have like cancer diagnosis and you go through surgery. Mine didn't involve chemo or radiation. It was just all surgery. But a lot of your friends and family, they really mean well, and they bring you things like what they think are going to be cures, and
Yeah.
I'm bombarded with like boxes of this, drink this, or mix this powder with that, and you know, and they mean very well, and you know, they spent money on it too, and on top of that, and they bring it, and so my wife mentioning your coming to see you and talking about naturopathic medicine was just one more component in the mix of things that were coming at me, and you know, it's like you have to choose which one.
Yeah.
And I'm going, you know, if I do all of these and I get better, I don't know which one was the one that actually helped me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So on her insistence, I started seeing you, and at that point, I was very desperate too, though.
Yeah. I would imagine. For the viewing audience, basically the reason why Jason was looking at options with these vitamins, herbs, and these products is because conventional medicine doesn't have a treatment for von Hippel-Lindau disease because it's a genetic defect and disorder. The only option is symptomatic, which means to remove the tumors as they develop, and basically the prognosis is pretty grim, like Jason was saying. The average lifespan for somebody with von Hippel-Lindau disease is 49 years of age, and you know Jason's beyond that now. But Jason, von Hippel-Lindau disease is a very rare cancer, genetic disorder.
Oh, absolutely.
1 in 40,000. So when you made that appointment to see me in October of 2007, you probably knew that I never have treated von Hippel-Lindau disease before. Besides what you had mentioned, was there any other reasons why you decided to come and see me at that time?
Not really. I mean, my wife was insistent, and it was something I hadn't tried.
Mm.
And, you know, I knew that I was going to be changing my diet, and I'd been kind of like, you know, I'm not one to not shy away from like veggie thingies, so I think I can handle this.
Mm. Okay.
You know.
So you and your wife had done some research on.
It's mostly my wife did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mostly Olivia did some research for you on naturopathic treatments or potential naturopathic treatments. One of the options was this thing called the alkaline diet. And I think that was the main reason why you came in to see me.
Right, yes, absolutely.
So I know that, you know, you knew I didn't treat von Hippel-Lindau disease. In fact, I told you that fact that, you know, Jason, I don't know if I can help you because
I remember that conversation,
treated this disease before.
Yeah.
And it's a genetic disorder. According to science and medicine, there's no treatment or cure for genetic diseases. But you had mentioned that you and your wife were researching a specific diet called the alkaline diet.
Right.
And that's something that I knew I could help you with, but also I could understand what you and your wife were thinking at that time. because the basis or the theory behind the alkaline diet is that cancers cannot grow when the body's pH is more alkaline. And obviously that's something that lifted a big weight off my shoulder, knowing that, okay, Jason understands the situation, but I can help you at least with getting your body's pH more alkaline in the hopes that it can shut down the cancer-growing cells that are developing in Jason's. Jason, what would you like to tell us about the alkaline diet that we put you on? Would you give us a description about what you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Okay, that I don't want to scare anybody, but I like to call it my rabbit food diet, because my diet did change. Yes, it did. And after the first couple weeks, I must say it wasn't that bad.
Oh, yeah.
It was a little challenging, but I was also very motivated because I was desperate, and I had to do something. And we kind of eased into it, and I must say, though, by the end of the second week, it wasn't all that bad, and I had found substitutes for a lot of things that I used to eat regularly. So what was it? You wanted to know?
Yeah, would you give us
what I eat?
Yeah, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
First of all, I cut out milk. So I was doing a lot of soy milk stuff, and I like cereal in the morning, so I do what is that, Quaker Oats kind of thing with soy milk, and I had to cut out sugar in my diet. That's a tough thing for me, because I'm kind of like a cookies and cake kind of a guy. So I had no sugar, but I did put nuts in the oatmeal, and to have that sugary thing, I would do sliced apples and mix that, and that worked. I mean, I did that for a while, and for lunches, I just do maybe those seed crackers or rice crackers with hummus on it.
Okay.
And I'll have a cucumber with that. It sounds kind of odd, but actually it worked for me. It was satisfying. I get full, and.
All right, Jason. We're going to take a little break.
Oh, no.
We're going to have this new segment. Well, I shouldn't say a new segment, but we're going to have this segment on our TV program called What's Wrong with My Diet, or What's Wrong with My Food. So I'm going to be going over what kind of changes an individual can make with their typical average diet. So this photo comes in from Bob. This is basically what he eats. Jason, you have any comments before I make my comments at the end of the program?
Let's see. That Manapu is too cold. And my soda needs more ice.
Yeah. And potato chips?
I usually eat that at the end, so somebody opened my bag of chips before I got to it.
So we'll go over more of this at the end of the show. So basically a big gulp, Manapu, and potato chips. All right, Jason.
Good stuff.
What did you think about your diet when I told you this is what you're going to have to eat, more fruits and vegetables, basically?
It was inevitable. I knew it was coming. I had always told myself I eat a lot of vegetables and stuff like that. And so I thought, I can handle this. But now this is my true test, yeah.
Yeah, I have to do it now.
Yeah, I got to be really true to it. And it was a little challenging. But like I said, after that first couple weeks, and I think the big thing for me was getting off the sugar. That was the one that initially I had cravings for the sweets. And then after the second week, that craving for sugar really quelled. So all of a sudden, it was kind of neat. Your mouth feels a little different because it's clean.
Yeah.
And like just to have like a fruit or a salad or something, you can start to taste all the components of what you're eating. It was something that was, you're more aware of.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that if you stop eating sugars, your taste buds start to come alive, meaning it's not overwhelmed with just sweet now,
Right.
or the taste of sweet. So you can actually start tasting the sugars that are in the vegetables
Yeah, it was
and the fruits.
interesting. It was very interesting, and even like nuts and things like that, and for dinner sometimes we have like a salad with salmon, and so now that was like wonderful for me when I start to taste all these other flavors.
Right. So the alkaline diet doesn't mean that you're a vegetarian.
No, not
It
at
means that, one, we have to eliminate foods that produce acids in the body, such as processed foods like cookies, cakes, pies, pastries, chocolates, breads, pasta, noodles, some of your favorites, white rice, juice and soda, as well as meats, because meats also help make the body more acidic, and we're trying to make the body more alkaline. And the foods that help produce that would be basically fresh fruits and vegetables, which Jason was adding more of this into his diet. So you said the diet change was a challenge, but was it real difficult for you to do?
The beginning.
At the beginning,
Yeah,
the first couple of weeks?
it's just you have this mindset, and you show the photo of the Manapu and stuff like that. Yeah, you have to kind of like take that out and put in a different image, that will satisfy you.
Yeah.
And so once you get past that, and you find out that you're still alive after, living on rabbit food, it's not bad, And then whatever side things you add, like the fish, or I have a little chicken and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good.
All right, Jason, in May of 2007, you had a surgery.
Right.
Could you tell us the change in that surgery? Because you had to go in, or the surgeon had to go in and remove more tumors that were growing on your kidneys.
Right.
What was the difference between that surgery compared to the other surgeries that you had before you started seeing me and changed your diet?
First of all, I just started seeing you, and then I was about a little over a month away from my third surgery, and after that there was going to be a fourth surgery.
Mm-hmm.
That was all kind of lined up. And you were mentioning to me that to really see the effect of the alkaline diet, I'd have to be on it for like 6 months. And so I was going to be on this diet for like about, a little over a month, and then I'm going to get this surgery. But since I was kind of committed to it, I said, well, let's just go for it anyway. And so I went and had the surgery, and then one thing I noticed on this round was my recovery was quick. All of my recoveries, I was on my feet very quick, but this one, I noticed that I was feeling, I was getting back into more normalcy again within about a week after this big major surgery. And then in about like 8-10 days, I was on a bike,
Yeah.
I was out there with the stitches and everything, and riding my bike, but don't fall down. But, I needed to, like, for me anyway, I needed to do the cardiovascular thing and get it all pumped again. So.
Yeah, that's unusual, right? Because one, it's a major surgery, but more importantly, that's your third surgery within about a year, right? Third major surgery in a little over a year. So you would think that your recovery time would actually be slower, but no, it was actually faster. And did you also feel different too?
I sure did. It was like I just felt cleaner. It was just easier on my body for the recovery, And I just generally felt I was bouncing back pretty quick.
Were you surprised with the
Yeah.
speed of your recovery?
Yeah, this time I was, because like my surgeon had talked to me about like the scarring and everything, and with each subsequent surgery,
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting slower and slower recovery, like what you were saying, and that kind of wasn't the case. It was surprising, and because of that, it motivated me more to stick with the alkaline diet and not look at the cake so much anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah. Jason, we got to talk about other things, though, that you're doing besides just your diet change. That is the most important aspect of Jason's treatment, but we also gave you a few naturopathic supplements, so
right.
Vitamins, minerals, and herbs.
Yeah.
You want to mention anything about them?
I can't remember. I got them all sitting on my cabinet. I can't remember all their names specifically, but it was to like boost my immune system, and there was also to help me with my metabolism of my sugars, which I thought those two were very key. And you also gave me like some kidney support things that keep what I have going.
Right. Yes. I decided to give Jason a few supplements. Some of them strengthen the immune system to fight cancer itself, as well as to help Jason metabolize sugar. I gave him a few formulas for that, mainly because, one, sugars do increase acidity in the body, but secondly, because Jason brought in a lab test about the time we started treatment, and his blood sugar levels were beginning to rise. I think they were borderline at this time, about like 101, 102. So I decided let's lower the amount of sugar in Jason's blood, because that may have something that might lessen the immune system response. And obviously we wanted to help keep Jason's kidney function going, so I gave Jason an herbal formula that is known to help improve kidney function and to protect the kidneys from any kind of toxic damage, whether it be from cancer cells or anything else that could damage the body, let's say like medications or chemicals. Jason, obviously it's been a while, right, since you started your treatment with me way back in April of 2007. But you also had another surgery.
Right.
This one was done, I believe, in August of 2007. Yeah. So just a short 4 months from your surgery in April.
Right.
No, sorry, 3 months after your surgery in May of 2007.
Right.
So not very long after you had major surgery, you had to go in again.
Right.
Tell us the outcome of that surgery.
Okay. That was like the big turning point surgery. I was psyched up to go through this. I was really on the diet, really hardcore. I was feeling really good about it. And we went and had the surgery, and all of these surgeries that I go through, they send all the little pieces they take out of me to pathology, and my doctor takes, if there's like some of the cysts in the way, he'll remove some of those too. And up to this point, all of my pathology reports have been coming back. All the pathology on my cysts were always coming back positive for cancer. So even though I was lying in bed recovering, and my doctor said it was a success, we got all the cancer, but then he always goes, but the cysts that we're removing from you are still testing positive for cancer. So it's coming again. But on this fourth surgery, he came back, and I remember that morning very well. He comes in, and he goes, okay, we got all the cancer, and I have interesting news for you. He says, your pathology report this time on your cyst is coming back negative for cancer. And so, I was on all these medication, everything, my eyes went like that. And wow, okay, now what did you say? You know, and he was looking at me very perplexed, and he goes, what are you doing? You know, he goes, you know, I started mentioning about the diet and everything, and he says, you know, it's just such a remarkable turnaround, and he says, I want to know what you do. He goes, maybe for me, you know, one day down the road, I'm going to have to do this, you know.
Yeah.
He was very candid about that, but it was looking like that was the day of a big miracle.
A big turn for you. You really turned
yeah,
the corner.
Absolutely.
So, very significant, because I guess your surgeon himself realized that this was a big change.
Right.
Because the previous 3 surgeries that you had, the pathology on the tumors that were removed were all coming back positive for cancer, as well as the cysts.
The cysts were the ones,
So they were going to be turning into cancer. But this time in August, just about 4 months after you started your new treatment, your new naturopathic medicine treatment, all of a sudden now these tumors are negative. They're not cancerous anymore.
Right.
And your surgeon, he knew something big had happened.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that, though?
I was really stoked. I wanted to get down on my knees and say thank you to God and everything, but I couldn't because I had too many things in me, you know. So my wife and I just said a prayer right there. Thank God, you know, answering our prayers and everything, and it was a very how shall I say? It was a very enlightening moment for us. I mean, to really feel blessed like that, you know, and it was very interesting.
Incredible turnaround.
Yeah, absolutely.
For you from
big miracle.
From your, I guess, feeling way back in 2005 when you were faced with the diagnosis of Hippel-Lindau disease, and maybe a year and a half or so later, now not having these tumors growing in your body. But, you know, that's only 4 months, right? So today is October 30th, 2008. So about, let's say, 14, 16 months after that surgery in August of 2007. You've had a few MRIs done since then, right? Because
everybody wants to know.
So you've had, I guess, about like 3 MRIs done on your body just to make sure there's no cancers growing. But we actually want to schedule this recording a few weeks ago, but Jason wanted to wait until after you had your last MRI, which was done about 2 weeks ago. And would you tell the viewing audience what the results were of that MRI?
Okay. Even before that, my first 6 months after the surgery MRI, that came back all clean. And so that was like confirmation of what we're doing with this alkaline diet is the correct path. And so, you know, we scheduled another MRI in 6 months, and I was feeling all good about that, you know, and as we came upon it, I started to get the jitters a little bit. You know, you start to hear that negative self-talk about what if, you know, it's not all good this time. And I kind of put that out of my mind. We went and did the MRI, and again, it was like all clear. And so much so that my surgeon said, I'm going to be doing these scans for the rest of my life, every 6 months. But rather than doing an MRI on my next one, he suggested we'll just do an ultrasound, which means I don't have to shoot any dyes in me, which would impact my kidneys, and you know, it just has like virtually no impact on my body to do these scans, and it's enough for him to look and go, okay, you look pretty good.
Yeah.
And so that again was another, you know, positive step, you know, just from going from MRIs now to ultrasounds like that. I'm feeling really good about that, you know.
Awesome. So Jason is meaning that he's had 3 MRIs since that August 2007 surgery. And because they've been coming back negative, Jason's surgeon is really, really excited about the change. And because with the MRIs and the CAT scans, you got to inject dyes into the body, which are toxic for the kidneys, so they can damage the kidneys. And that's why Jason's surgeon is leery about using too many of these dyes in his body, and that's why he's not wanting to perform any more MRIs or CAT scans. And the ultrasound, for him, I guess, is if he sees anything suspicious, then after that he will
step it up
an
again,
MRI.
Yeah.
But because Jason's been doing so well, he's feeling that the MRIs and CAT scans aren't necessary anymore.
No more.
So Jason, it's been, you've had pretty good success, right? So
Absolutely.
far.
Great success.
Yeah, but back in April of 2007, when you first came in to see me, and I told you, Jason, you have this genetic disease. There's no cure according to conventional medicine, but we're going to use this diet on you, and we're going to give you these herbs and vitamins and minerals, and this is what we're going to use to help you battle this cancer. What was your thoughts at that time when you heard about this is your treatment?
No way. How is that going to work,
Yeah.
And taking this little tablet, a spoonful of this, that's it? That's going to cure me,
Yeah. But that's an honest thought, because I believe most people think that that's pretty much basically, what is this? Herbs, vitamins, and a diet change? How is this going to help cure me from cancer, much less something as serious as von Hippel-Lindau disease?
Right.
Jason, is there anything you want to say to others who have cancer, that they have other options available to them, or someone who has von Hippel-Lindau disease?
I'm sure there's not very many people out there with von Hippel-Lindau disease. And for those of you watching, I guess you can rest assured that since you saw me on TV here or something, you are probably one of the 40,000 that will not get it. So you'll probably not get von Hippel-Lindau. But as far as people with cancer, there's many types of cancers. And I know it seems very bleak when you're given that diagnosis. There is still hope, and you're going to have to call on the higher power. You're going to have to talk to God, and I would recommend you seek an alkaline type of diet, because it's an amazing thing. For me, we were doing conventional medicine like the surgeries, and I was doing the naturopathic thing both at the same time, and we came to this thing in the center that was very positive. So I'm like living proof that this thing works.
Jason, you were the ultimate classic, somebody who's up against the wall, and you made this amazing comeback. But what feelings do you have about naturopathic medicine now?
That's the way to go. And whether you have cancer or not, that would still be the way to go. Because it's overall complete for your body. What do you call homeopathic or
naturopathic?
Yeah,
naturopathic.
Yeah. It sounds kind of airy-fairy, but actually it is the way to go.
One is, if you have a disease, it will help you with it. But secondly, if you don't, it's going to help you prevent.
Right, there you go. That's what you want.
Yeah,
you don't want to go anywhere and get any kind of disease. You want to be clean and pure, and
right.
This is where it goes.
All right. I want to thank you, Jason, for sharing your amazing story with us today on Olelo and on Island Wellness. I wish you continued success, and may God continue to bless you, and hopefully, maybe in 5 years you come back on the program again and share your success stories.
Sure, I'll be around.
Hi, we're at the end of our program, and we're going to fulfill our last segment of the show called What's Wrong with My Food or What's Wrong with My Diet. Bob was kind enough to send us a picture of his diet of Big Gulp Coca-Cola, potato chips, and a manapua. So, this is basically your average everyday local type food. So what I see with Bob's diet is that the manapua is high in protein but also very high in fat, and the bread itself in the manapua is providing a lot of simple carbohydrates, so very deficient in vitamins and minerals and fiber. The potato chips is high in salt and high in simple carbohydrates. Very, very little protein, no fiber in this segment of his diet, and no vitamins and minerals. And the Big Gulp soda, very high in simple carbohydrates or sugar, and no vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So when I look at Bob's diet, I see potentially that he can look forward to having problems with weight gain or obesity, as well as with diabetes. And as we all know, diabetes is very, very common in Hawaii. About 50% of us are at risk for developing diabetes, and this could be one of the reasons why. So, but what can Bob do to improve his diet and improve his health? So basically, Bob can try to change his diet, but maybe eating a meal of chicken salad or a fish salad. And instead of having potato chips, maybe eat fruit or nuts. And he can replace the Big Gulp with water. So this type of diet will increase Bob's nutritional value. It's going to balance his diet. The salad and the fruit has a lot of vitamins and minerals in there, as well as a lot of fiber. Fiber is very important for elimination and to prevent bowel-type problems and potentially even colon cancer, which is one of our most common cancers today. And we can reduce his risk for developing obesity and potentially diabetes. So, Bob, I want to thank you for sending in your photo. Again, if you have any questions about your diet and you want me to comment on it, please email it to me. And if you have any comments or questions about health and wellness or disease or any of our programs, please email me your question. This is my healthy tip of the day for you. Make sure you drink at least 8 glasses of water today. And the reason why is most of us are dehydrated, and most of us don't drink nearly enough water. So 8 glasses of water typically is about your minimum, especially during hot summer months, but also in Hawaii, we experience pretty warm weather every day of the year. So we do lose a lot of water through perspiration and breathing. So make sure that you drink about 8 glasses a day, every day.